when you make it that far and you bust out right before the money, it's one of the hardest things that could happen to a player in that tournament, because it's days and days of like 12, 13 hours of just deep focus and concentration. And when you're so close, you could see it. You could see the countdown clock to how many people are left until people make the money. And I remember that moment so clearly, and just dancing around in my living room, and then flying to Vegas and surprising him and just walking up to the table and just seeing how happy he was that he was still there, and he had a beer and he was like, "We're in the money." And I felt so happy just to see him get to the point where from there it was like, okay, it's still an uphill battle, but it was that kind of that mile marker that meant a lot. The next day, we all went to watch, and we walk in and he sits down at the table, and he's so happy because he's like, this is a good table. I got a good table. We got this. And one of the first hands, he goes all in because he is short on chips. So his strategy is gotta go all in to build the stack back up. And he goes all in with a hand that's winning at the beginning, and the person who goes all in against him gets the card on the river, and within the first 30 minutes, he busts out of the tournament. And just like that, the dream is gone.
World Series of Poker back here, the Rio. You see it? We're on dinner break right now, and I'm stressed. I have 20 big blinds right now, so I'm in the danger zone. I can't just fold. So we'll see. I might be all in here a couple times in the next 2 hours, but the money bubble is gonna burst in the next 2 hours or so. Let's get in there, let's take care of business. Let's get this cash.
We started this event with 7,874. We will be paying 1,182 players.
Something that I didn't do in the moment but decided to do after the fact was count the approximate number of hands that I was going to be dealt in prior to the money bubble bursting. We had about 2 hours. There was a guy on my right that was tanking about a minute for every pre-flop decision. So the pace of our table was particularly slow. So looking back, I had about 30 to 35 hands that I was going to be dealt in prior to the money bubble bursting. This is definitely important to note with having 22 big blinds and determining what hands I'm gonna play. I actually had a big hand come up where I had Queen Jack suited and lost half of my stack. So I was sitting with around 10 big blinds, about 25 more hands to go until the money bubble burst when I looked down at pocket tens. Obviously pocket tens is a no-brainer shove. So I make the shove, and the guy on my left who has a ton of chips, doesn't even think about it, doesn't even ask for a count. And he says, I call. And when I hear those words without any thought process going into it, I know that I'm not going to be in great shape. The best that I can hope for here is an ace-king type situation. And luckily for us, he does have ace-king suited. About 25 players to go until the money. We're going to have to survive this all in to get the double up. The flop comes Jack, Jack 3 with 2 spades. So it's definitely a big time sweat for us. The turn comes a 9. At this point, my heartbeat is definitely pumping. This is the kind of feeling that I pretty much never experience in a cash game. The feeling of being all in for your tournament life with one card to go, with so much money on the line here. It's basically a $15,000 river card. And when the river comes, the non-spade 9 to survive, to get me back to 22 big blinds. I'm feeling great at this point. Definitely an amazing feeling to hold here, but we're not out of the woods yet. And 22 big blinds, I'm sure I could fold to the money, but I wasn't thinking about that at the time, especially when I was dealt ace king suited on the button. At this point, we are probably around 15 shuffles from the money. Under the gun player, who has been fairly active and has a decent amount of chips, opens for 2.5 blinds. I decided to play it cautious here and see the flop. So I just call and we go heads up to a flop of ace jack 5, completely rainbow. Under the gun player continues for a standard C bet. So I make the call. Turn is the 3. He continues on the turn, sizes up a little bit, leaves me with around 55,000 if I make the call here. So I make the call and the river is the 10, and the under the gun player now shoves all in for my remaining stack. It's not that much of a percentage of his stack, so it's definitely a spot where he could be exploiting the bubble and exploiting him being under the gun and having a stronger range than me. But at the same time, he knows that I'm not going to have a very wide range here either. Even though I'm on the button, I'm going to have a lot of strong hands here that include ace king. I was back and forth. I thought about calling. I thought about folding. I thought if I called, it would put me in a great spot to have a lot of chips going into day 4. At least have me over 25 big blinds, which is a totally workable stack. So tune in next time to see if I made the call or not, and to see if I ended up cashing. Thank you guys for joining me in this episode. What? Oh, I'm just kidding, you guys. Come on now. I'm not going to leave you guys with a cliffhanger like that. I ended up making the fold, and I begged him to show his cards. He did not want to show his cards, but I offered him $100. He took the $100. Luckily for us, he showed the ace jack.
Wow. What did you just pay that guy $100 for? What did he show you?
He had top 2. I had ace king suited. I was like, I have to call here. We have about 8 shuffles now before the money bubble bursts, and I look down at pocket jacks in early position. I have around 7 big blinds, so this is a no-brainer shove. I make the shove. You think his range is cut?
Wow. The slow roll call. Wow, got it through.
Show!
I told you to bluff shove one time and then show him. That's not a bluff shove.
That's the bottom of my range.
About 6 to 7 shuffles later, we have an all-in and a call hand for hand at my table. I'm not involved in the hand, but I am live streaming on Instagram. Unfortunately, Instagram live streams do not save, so I don't have any footage of that. But ESPN threatened to sue me for if I didn't stop the live stream, but I kept it going. We kept the live stream going. So make sure you guys follow me on Instagram for in the moment stuff like this, because it was a lot of fun. I had a couple hundred people watching the live stream.
What up? There's an ace of clubs. I see the queen of spades and the queen of hearts. All right, this is a close race. Let's see that flop. Flop is jack of diamonds, king of diamonds, 9 of diamonds. Right now, ace king is good. Let's see the turn card. Got your queen. Then ace of diamonds. Aces and kings. Right now, the best hand. Let's see the river card. A 10 or a queen. That's not a diamond. That's exactly right. 7. Aces and kings are going to be the best hand. We got to double up.
And we got to watch the money bubble burst together. We survived onto day 4, bagged up a 6 big blind chip stack. It definitely felt great to bag a stack and cash after the tumultuous last hour of that level. Not only did I get to see that I made the great fold, It was a $15,000 fold, and without making that fold, I would not have made the money. I'm grateful to make it to day 4. Unfortunately, a couple hands into day 4, I got my stack in with 10-8 suited versus ace-king in a spot where I had a chance to triple up because there was some money on the side. Did not come through. It was pretty much the perfect spot for me, but was unable to outrun the ace-king, and that was it. That's the end of my World Series of Poker main event. I just want to say thank you again to everyone that supported me, that bought pieces of me. I actually posted about it on Facebook, and I had to take the status down within 7 minutes because I received so many messages. So thank you to everyone that was pulling for me. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for making my channel as popular as it is. This has been a wild ride, a wild 7 months, and I appreciate every single one of you. Be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling. There's a lot of fun stuff coming up. So thank you guys again. I love you, and I'll see you soon.
Love you, bro. Love you too, bro. Man, that was good.
Yes, I used to be a baller in my younger days. I don't know if I still got it.
Does he still got it? Does he still got it? Oh, oh.